Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. From this class we are starting a new course which is on molecular biology, and we are starting from DNA replication. We will start with DNA replication in prokaryotes. So let's start. First of all, why DNA replication is necessary? DNA is the genetic material that defines every cell. Okay, and before a cell duplicates, it is divided into two daughter cells, it has to go through either mitosis or meiosis, but in either case DNA has to be replicated so that it is equally transmitted to all the daughter cells. DNA is found within the nucleus in case of eukaryotes, and it is present as nucleoid in the prokaryotes. It is very essential that all the daughter cells receive equal amounts of DNA because it is genetic material and the properties of the cell and as well as of the individual is determined by DNA. So what are the basic steps for DNA replication? So there are three basic steps for DNA replication, whether it is eukaryote or prokaryote. First is initiation, then elongation, and then termination. Starting with the initiation, the site of origin of DNA replication, especially in case of E. coli, it is called as ORIC. It is the DNA replication origin in E. coli. Okay, it consists of 245 base pairs and contain DNA sequences that are highly conserved among bacterial replication of origin. So it is a conserved region. Okay, and generally it is of 245 base pair long. Two types of conserved sequences are present. What are those? There are 13 mer and 9 mer. Okay, so there are 3 repeats of 13 BP. 13 base pair long sequence is there. This is the sequence. You need not to remember the sequence, but you need to remember that there is 13 base pair long sequence, which is this one, and there are 3 repeats of it. Here you see. And there are 4 or 5 repeats of 9 base pair sequence, which is also called as 9 mer. Okay, so here 4 repeats are shown. At this place, 20 molecules of DNA A protein bind with 9 more repeats along with the ATP molecules. Okay, so at this place, DNA A protein will bind, okay, which causes DNA to wrap around the DNA A protein, forming the initial complex. Okay, DNA A protein and ATP trigger the opening of 13 mer repeat, forming an open complex. So first of all, DNA A will bind to the 9 mer repeat. This will lead to the opening of 13 mer repeat region. 2 copies of DNA B protein, which is also called as helicase. Always remember, DNA B protein is nothing but helicase. It binds to the 13 mer repeat, which is the actually open complex. It is open complex. This binding is facilitated by another molecule which is called as DNA C. It is another protein. DNA B and DNA C interact, and this interaction causes DNA B ring to open, which binds to each of the DNA strand. So I will show you in the figure how it is actually happening. Okay, and the hydrolysis of bound ATP release DNA C, leaving the DNA B bound to the DNA strand. Here you see, this is 13 base pair region, this is 9 base pair repeat region. Okay, and here at the 9 base pair repeat region, what binds? DNA A, and it causes the wrapping of DNA molecule. This will cause the opening of 13 mer region, here open complex is formed. Open complex. At this open complex, what will bind? 2 DNA B DNA C complex. Okay, and also what else will bind? Single strand binding proteins. SSB. SSB is nothing but single strand binding protein. So here this protein is bound over the length of the open complex, and there is DNA B. 2 rings of DNA B are present. Okay, and DNA B, as you know, it is nothing but helicase, and this will lead to the removal of DNA C complex. The binding of helicase is the key step. DNA B migrates along the single-stranded DNA in 5' to 3' direction, causing the unwinding of DNA. Okay, so helicase will move along the single strand in 5' to 3' direction. The activity of helicase causes the topological stress to the unwinded strand, forming a supercoiled DNA. As you know, if the DNA is opening further and further up, it will cause the topological stress to be accumulated within the DNA. This stress is relieved by what? By an enzyme. Which enzyme? It is DNA isomerase. Okay, and it is also known as DNA gyrase by negative supercoiling. Okay, this will introduce negative supercoiling. So DNA gyrase is nothing but it is a type of DNA topoisomerase. Similarly, single-stranded binding protein binds to the separated strand, prevents the annealing of the separated strand. So you will ask why this single-stranded binding protein binds at the first place. To prevent the re-annealing. Here you see re-annealing. What does it mean? Re-annealing is joining of these two single strands in the open complex to form a double-stranded DNA. Okay, so to prevent that, what attaches? Single strand binding protein, SSB proteins. The DNA polymerase cannot initiate the DNA replication. Always remember that DNA polymerase can never initiate the DNA replication. What is required? A primer, a small primer is required, which will provide 3' OH group. So first, with the help of primase enzyme, what is formed? A short molecule of RNA is formed, which is 10 nucleotide long along the 5' to 3' direction. In case of E. coli, primer synthesized by the primase starts with this nucleotide. So Ag is there, to which what is attached? 3 phosphate groups. Primer is closely associated with the DNA B helicase. Okay, and why is it so? So that it is positioned to make the RNA primer as single-stranded DNA of lagging strand. Okay, so as and when the DNA is opening up because of the helicase, there should be synthesis of RNA primer so that both the strands can be synthesized together. Now coming to the next step, which is elongation. So there are two strands, leading strand and lagging strand. Leading strand synthesis is straightforward. It is simple process which begins with the synthesis of RNA primer by primase at the replication origin itself. So there is only one RNA primer is required for leading strand. Only one primer. DNA polymerase 3 then adds the nucleotide at 3' and 3' OH end. The leading strand synthesis then proceeds continuously, keeping pace with the unwinding of replication fork until it encounters the termination sequences. Okay, so it will continue adding new nucleotides until and unless it encounters termination sequence. Now coming to the lagging strand synthesis. Lagging strand synthesis in it occurs in short fragments which is called as Okazaki fragments. At first, RNA primer is synthesized by the primase and as in leading strand, DNA polymerase 3 binds to the RNA primer and adds the DNTPs. Over here, you see, this is the leading strand. It is in the continuous stretch. But in case of lagging strand, there are small fragments are formed which are called as Okazaki fragments. And this is the direction of movement of replication fork. Now, what is the mechanism of lagging strand synthesis? Both the strands are synthesized by DNA polymerase 3. Always remember that. It is a dimer which accomplished the looping of template DNA of lagging strands synthesizing Okazaki fragments. So, there is a loop formation associated with the DNA polymerase 3 dimer. Helicase, which is also called as DNA-B, and primase, which is also called as DNA-G, constitute a functional unit, and this functional unit is called as primosome. So DNA polymerase 3 use one set of core polymerase to synthesize the leading strand and other set of core subunit to synthesize the lagging strand. So it is a dimer and there are two core subunits. One core subunit is used for leading strand and another subunit is used for lagging strand. There is DNA helicase, there is primase, okay, and one is here leading strand and another one is lagging strand. DNA polymerase is there, so here there are two subunits and primase and helicase together will form primosome. There are SSB proteins associated with the single strand. Both the leading and lagging strand are synthesized coordinately and simultaneously by a complex protein moving in 5' to 3' direction. Okay, and both are synthesized at the same time. Okay, so lagging strand synthesis is not complete until the RNA primers are removed, because each time there is unwinding of DNA, a new primer is added to the lagging strand. So that primer has to be removed from each and every Okazaki fragment, and that should be replaced by the DNA, by the DNTPs, because primer is made up of RNA. Okay, and then there should be sealing of these Okazaki fragments. So RNA primers are removed by exonuclease activity of DNA Pol 1. So exonuclease activity of DNA Pol 1 will remove the RNA primers from both the leading and lagging strand. This gap is now refilled by DNA Pol 1 itself. Okay, DNA Pol 1 will also undergo the polymerization and fill the gap with DNTPs, and then the gap is then sealed by DNA ligase using NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide as cofactor. Then coming to the termination. So eventually the two replication fork of circular E. coli chromosome will meet at the termination recognition sequence, TER sequence. TER sequence is 23 base pair long. It is arranged on the chromosome to create a trap, at which the replication fork can enter but cannot leave. So here once the replication fork comes to the TER sequence, it cannot proceed further, it halts there. Okay, so TER sequences function as binding site for TUS protein. What is TUS protein? This is TER utilization sequence protein. So the TER-TUS complex can arrest the replication fork from only one direction. So the replication fork is stopped, and when the TER-TUS complex encounter first with either of the replication fork and then halt it. The opposing replication fork halted when it collides with the first one. Eventually it will collide with the first one because the first one is halted at the TER sequence. When either of the fork encounters the TER-TUS complex, replication is halted. Okay, and the final few hundred bases of DNA between these two large protein complexes, because at the TER sequence there are TUS proteins are present, and at those places also there is replication required, and how this replication occurs, that mechanism is not known. But at the end of the replication, what happens, two interlinked chromosomes are formed, which are also called as catenated chromosomes. I will show you the diagram of it in the next slide. And in E. coli, DNA topoisomerase 4, which is also type 2 topoisomerase, cut the two strands of one circular DNA. Always remember, it cuts the two strands of one circular DNA and separate each of the circular DNA and finally joins the strand. So it, and joining also happens with the help of ligase enzyme. So ligase will help in the joining, and DNA finally transferred to the two daughter cells. Here you see the replication forks are formed. They are moving in the opposite directions, and here they are meeting at the termination sequence, TER sequence, and as a result what is formed? A catenated DNA is formed, catenated chromosomes are formed, and they are removed with the help of topoisomerase 4 and ligated with the help of ligase enzyme. So this is how two chromosomes of bacteria E. coli are formed. So that's all for today, everyone. I hope this class was useful to you all, and if you have any doubts, please comment in the comment section, and please share with those who need it, and please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you everyone. Take care. Bye.